Hello YouTube vintage stereo collectors. Let's make this take 3. The last one I was almost going to sneeze in the video. I think spring allergies are out. Anyway, here we are, the Nikko TRM-50. I finished it. Had to do quite a few little tweaks and things along the line. I took the lid off again because the lid was rattling. You just barely touched it and it was rattle, 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 rattle. And there's was a foam strip along here, and I actually replaced it so it's nice and tight. I have to admit, this is a great looking unit. There's something about it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is this not an amplifier you would see in Dr. Kelly Brackett's house in Malibu? You know, from the emergency TV series, the actor Robert Fuller. In his paneled rec room, with a couple bookshelf speakers beside it, maybe a dual turntable, and he'd be relaxing after a long shift in the ER with a martini and his pipe and listening to jazz on here. Just, I don't know, I find it quite amusing. I love the look of it. Let's talk about the amp more. There's quite a few little niggly problems on this. The left channel in the phone preamp was giving me some problems. It worked for a while after sweating the leads on it, then it went out again. And for 3 or 4 days I've been thinking, I've got one of those modules somewhere, and I opened bins. Trouble is, I've got hundreds of tubes and different things in bins and different parts and parts of chassis, and it's kind of I thought I might have one, but I proceeded and started to build this preamp module from the schematic to replace that. And then this morning I'm thinking there's one other place to look, and I looked and it was in with some parts. They're basically a box with some pull-out transistors. It was a bunch of pull-out stuff, you know, from 20 years ago, like 3 moves ago. And there it was, with a little, right on it had a piece of tape, and it said, "Test OK." And it was one of these that I fixed it for a friend of mine and got into it. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to build this, I'm going to have to build this, I'm going to have to build this. And they just said, forget about it, scrap it for parts. So both the driver modules were bad, just couldn't keep those, but the one phono module was good. And then I kept knobs from it and switches and all kinds of stuff. And you know, I always feel bad when I can't rebuild one and get it going again. That is an issue for me. It's like defeat, you know. But it actually was, it was not in the shape of this one. It was kind of battered. I think it had done a nosedive off a shelf right onto the knobs. So anyway, that turned out that another one of these can live. So the phono stage, I've been running it all day off and on, trying different things. It's been working like it should. In fact, this thing sounds quite nice. And it's got the added, right on the back here, put the socket for the 3-prong cord. It looks like factory. It took quite a bit of filing. My arm's kind of sore from it. But you gotta be pretty careful. And then I polished the hole out with my Dremel tool, and I ran a vacuum cleaner while I was doing it, because you don't want the metal filings going into the amp. You don't want to make more problems than you're solving, right? So that's how this one turned out, and it actually has a nice, I can't explain it, it's very clean sounding amp. It has some guts now, it has smooth bass, it's kind of enjoyable to listen to. Has its own character. There we go. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening.